Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up on today's show, an award-winning mailbag. What award, you might ask? Well, my mom. It's her favorite segment that I do here on Texans Today. We are filming this February 11th, 2026. I always film these mailbags during our Texans Today live shows. We go live every Wednesday at 3:30 Central Time. If you are watching this live, hit that hashtag Texans, or you can super chat to get on the show. Without further ado, let's get into all the questions that we're getting from our loyal subscribers here on Texans Today Live. Here we go. VW Blue Sky with the $10 super chat. Let's stick with offensive line help. Do you agree? I agree. I think it would behoove the Texans to go all in on the draft, though. Free agency, it might be tough because Tyler Linderbaum, he's going to have a ton of teams looking at him. You know, even Cade Mays, the free agent center from the Carolina Panthers, he might have a lot of teams looking at him as well. Ed Ingram, our right guard, who we're probably going to try to re-sign, he could have a couple teams that try to poach him away. So if I'm the Houston Texans, I'd look right to the draft and say, how many guys can I get in the first 4 rounds that'll be impact players on the offensive line? Because you look at some of the best offensive lines in the NFL, and look at the team that just won the Super Bowl, right? How did they put together their offensive line? Charles Cross, first-round pick. Abraham Lucas, their right tackle, I believe he was a second-round pick. Gray Zabel, he was their first-round pick from this past year. They built the O-line through the draft, and it paid off for them. So, Nick Caserio, if you're watching, Houston Texans front office, please draft some offensive linemen, at least 3 or 4, because last year you drafted 1. Ursary did a good job as a left tackle. Moving forward, you need to draft those other spots and help develop the talent there along the offensive line with some fresh young talent through the NFL draft. Your question, VW. Next one coming in from Blacklight. You personally, are you bringing back Mixon? I'd love to answer this question, but we have no idea what's going on. He won't tell anybody. Nick Caserio, DeMeco Ryans, anybody it is like Fort Knox at NRG Stadium with the information around Joe Mixon. So if you could tell me I get 2024 Joe Mixon, of course, I'd be perfectly fine with bringing him back. He was great. Over 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns in 2024 for this Texans team, and they severely missed him this past year. I thought a Joe Mixon, Woody Marks duo would be pretty good. But I can't say like, oh yeah, I'd like Mixon back, because something happens to you when you're out of football for a year, out of commission for a year. Look what happened with Deshaun Watson, right? He was fantastic with the Houston Texans. He was a top 5 quarterback with the Houston Texans. Sat out a little over a year. He looks like he doesn't even know how to play football with the Cleveland Browns. Even go back further than that. Le'Veon Bell, he got into a contract dispute with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sat out a year. And then came back with the New York Jets. Was awful. So I don't know what Joe Mixon we're going to get. He's turning, 30 years old this season, or, about to hit 30 years old. Will he be even the same player that we saw in 2024? Because if any of the crazy rumors are true, I don't know if he's going to be able to play for this Texans team this next season. So as of right now, I'm working with the thought process that we're not going to have Joe Mixon this next year. They're going to go ahead and cut him and save $8.5 million. That's my thought process. Until I see anything different, until I hear anything different, or get any sort of update around Joe Mixon from somebody close to the team, from Nick Caserio, even from Joe Mixon himself, how are we supposed to know what we're going to have in Joe Mixon? Because literally it's been mum's the word around NRG Stadium. Good question, though, Blacklight. Next up, Rockets winning the chip. Oh, I hope so. I really do hope so. Hashtag Texans. I saw someone say we could trade Stroud. Would you trade him to the Raiders for the first pick? Oh, my gosh. That's a tough question, because there's a lot of promise with Fernando Mendoza. And you do also have the upside of having a guy on a rookie contract. Now, would the Raiders even entertain this? Now, I mean, you go back. The Raiders and Josh McDaniels, who was their head coach at the time, badly wanted to trade for up to get CJ Stroud. The Texans said no. They selected him at number 2, and the rest is history. Could they go back and say, hey, we want a more known guy in CJ Stroud? I really don't think at this point with how CJ's played that the Raiders would entertain him for the number 1 overall pick. And if I'm being honest, this might sound stupid. I might come off as an idiot. I don't know if I would trade CJ Stroud for the number 1 overall pick right now. Call me crazy, call me dumb. A small part of me still believes that he can find that rookie year CJ Stroud. And if we get a better O-line, a better run game around him, that he can be a good leader for this team and be the guy that can bring us to the promised land. I guess I'll turn it to y'all. Let me know. Would you trade CJ Stroud for the number 1 pick? Basically, CJ Stroud for Fernando Mendoza. Let me know down below in the comments section. It is a risk because you're getting a rookie, a guy who it's a lot of unknown with Fernando. Call me crazy. I would say no. I'd say no. I would keep CJ Stroud, but that's a tough question. That's a really tough question. Let me know what you think down below in the comments section. Backcar, hashtag Texans. We shouldn't trade Mills. He saved our season. I agree. But in the same time, right? If a team is going to offer you a first-round pick for Mills, kind of have to consider it, right? He's your backup quarterback. He's a really good backup, and I think he's a glue guy in the locker room, somebody who, if CJ ever goes down or if you ever need somebody, he's somebody this team can turn to. But, man, that would be very enticing, right? He's on a 1-year, $7 million deal, so it's not like the Texans have a ton invested in him. If a team had a quarterback that went down, or if they really wanted Davis Mills that bad, a first or second round pick might entice me. I don't want to trade Davis Mills, but I mean, when you look at the quarterback options, I mean, for the New York Jets, what are they going to do? I mean, maybe they sign Malik Willis in free agency. That's a big question mark. You could trade for guys like Tua or Kyler, but that comes with a massive cap hit. If you truly want a bridge quarterback, I don't think there's a better bridge style quarterback in the NFL right now than a Davis Mills, somebody who is on a cheap contract for you, somebody who you know can go out there and win you games, manage games for you, and could be a good leader and a good, mentor to a young quarterback. He's done that with CJ Stroud since he's been in the NFL, and ESPN, they gave out 4 top options for quarterback-needy teams this offseason. Like I said, Kyler Murray, Tua, you'd have to trade for. Like, do you want to take on that cap hit? Kirk Cousins, the Falcons are rumored to possibly trying to cut him, so free agent possibly, but what is he going to want? Malik Willis, what is he going to want in free agency? And then the other options in that ESPN article, I think Davis Mills is easily the best quarterback on this list. He's better than Will Levis, better than Jalen Milroe, better than Tanner McKee, better than Richardson, better than Rattler, Derek Carr, possibly the only question mark, but I go back to what I said a couple minutes ago. Derek Carr hasn't played in the NFL in a year. So if I'm looking for a bridge quarterback, I think Davis Mills might be the best option out there for a team that is looking to groom a young quarterback, keep their team afloat, and just get over for the next 1 to 2 seasons. I think Davis Mills would be the best quarterback for that option, but I don't think the Texans want to trade him, at least unless somebody gives them a crazy, crazy offer. Speaking of crazy offers, producer Reed, I got a crazy offer for you right now from our friends over at Prize Picks, where you can get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Yes, that is $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup, because, guys, Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, every board, every home run, every game-saving catch that much more exciting. So don't miss out this season on Prize Picks by getting $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks is awesome. It's super simple. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you get your picks right, you can cash in big time. Do you miss fantasy football? Well, Prize Picks, obviously football over, but maybe basketball, maybe hockey, maybe baseball, all available over there on the app, and they're available in all 50 states. So get started today with America's #1 fantasy sports app and join the millions of users and sign up today. Now, this is the lineup that I have rolling out there. I got Bregman, Moore, former Houston Astros with the Chicago Cubs right now. Jose Altuve, I'm going the Moore. Yordan Alvarez, the Moore. And then Kyle Tucker, F them. I'm going the less. You can use my lineup or you can make your own. Just do it with our friends over at Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, next question coming in from Drew Peacock for real. Nice. You said Breece Hall, but I would be cool with Tyler Allgeier from the Falcons. You know what? I agree. Like, if you swing and miss on a guy like Breece Hall, there are a couple other options in free agency that I think could add to this Texans running back room. Tyler Allgeier is a good name. Javonte Williams from the Cowboys had a fantastic year there. He's still in his mid-20s, could be a good option. J.K. Dobbins, even though he's been injured for, the past couple of seasons, he just can't seem to get over the injury bug. I think there's a couple other options in free agency rather than Breece Hall. I mean, Kenneth Walker, the NFL, Super Bowl MVP, he's a free agent. I think he's going to try. The Seahawks are going to try to bring him back. But yeah, there's a ton of options at the running back spot in free agency. I just think Breece Hall might fit with the Texans the best, but I wouldn't mind a guy like a Tyler Allgeier who's been kind of playing second fiddle to Bijan Robinson with the Atlanta Falcons. I think he could come over and be a good 1-2 punch with the Houston Texans and really help us out going into next year. Here we go. We can just go to the next question. Yeah, we're good. Next question coming in from, let's see, who's it gonna be? Red Hood Gamer. Hashtag Texans. Is it at all possible to send Schultz, Mills, and Mixon to ATL for Bijan, get restructures done, draft a guard or two, and sign Cade Mays? First part, no chance. No chance. I mean, asking that is like, oh, would the Texans be willing to trade Will Anderson Jr. for, Marcus Mariota, Tyler Allgeier, and Kyle? Like, no. Like, Bijan's their best player. So, unless we're giving them a first-round pick plus, like, another Pro Bowl player, I don't think the Falcons would even entertain this trade. In terms of getting restructures, I think I made a video earlier on in the month about the Texans saving some money. It has the thumbnail is DeMeco Ryans throwing up some money. If you want to go and watch that video, I showed how the Texans can save about $70 million. Sign Cade Mays. The Texans have been rumored to be interested in the Panthers' interior offensive lineman. So I think that is possible. So no, yes, and yes on your questions, Red Hood Gamer. Amanda Pearl, hashtag Texans Chugs. I think we need to drop some of the players who haven't done much or progressed like they should have, like Stover, Scruggs, Fisher, etc. Don't need people lingering, need people to win now. And, I mean, I agree. This is going to be a make-or-break year for multiple guys. Stover, he's more had the injury bug around him, and then whenever he's been okay, he's been decent, but hasn't been like an amazing receiving threat or a run blocker at that for the Texans at the tight end spot. Juice Scruggs, a former second-round pick. He's been more of a backup interior offensive lineman, kind of a swing center and guard option for this Texans team. Blake Fisher, kind of the same boat right there, right? Like, he has been okay, but a former second-round pick, you don't want him to be a swing tackle. You don't want him to be, somebody who's a backup. Now, he is still young, right? 23 years old. So out of all those, I'd probably keep Blake Fisher just because he still has a lot to prove and is still young. But, like the Texans need to bring in a ton of competition. And if that means cutting some of these guys from the 53-man roster because you found better talent, that's what you got to do, because you got to find a way to get the best 53 guys on this roster that you possibly can to get ready for week 1 next year. Neo Razor, hashtag Texans. If CJ doesn't get a concussion this year, do you think we still win those 3 games? It's a good question, Neo. I'll say yes, because when you look at the first half of CJ Stroud before he got injured from the Denver Broncos, I think we win that game. CJ was cooking in that Broncos game. And then after he took that hit, I mean, obviously he came back and it was kind of up and down for the rest of the year. But I think the Texans beat the Broncos if CJ stays in that game. Now, Davis Mills, he had to come in short notice. He had to, play basically 2.5 quarters out of nowhere. So I think that was a little tough for him. But I think if CJ Stroud doesn't get injured, I think he has a much better year. And we're talking differently about CJ Stroud during the offseason. I think him getting injured, sitting out those games, kind of messed with his flow of the season. He was able to get back into it a little bit, had a good game up against the Arizona Cardinals. But I think the Texans, I think a lot of that was with their defense as well. I think they were able to win a lot of those games with defense, and Davis Mills just was steering the ship, right? He was just making sure to not turn the football over. CJ Stroud maybe take notes in the postseason. But and good point. Anointed Stan said he was cooking against the Niners too. So I think if he didn't get injured in that game, we would have seen a much better CJ Stroud for this season. Good question, Neo. Prison Mike coming in. #Texans. I saw Azeez Al-Shaair got surgery. Is he going to be good for the season? Yep. He got thumb surgery this past week. Should be full steam ahead. I mean, he played through a lot of the season with that thumb injury, went to the Pro Bowl and, participated in stuff with that injury. I think it was just kind of like a cleanup, kind of help out him moving forward into the offseason, but he should be good to go. He should be able to recover from that and be ready to go by the start of training camp and OTAs for next year. All right. Last question coming in from Anointed Stan. Now that our season is over, what was the hardest game for you to watch other than the playoff games? That's a fun question. I mean, yeah, the hardest game for sure was that Patriots game. That was gut-wrenching. I'm going to actually, this might surprise people. The hardest game for me to watch, and what had me the most worried, was actually a win. The Texans win over the Raiders. Because the Raiders at that point in the season, they were tanking. They were trying to actively lose games. And if a couple calls don't go your way, you lose to that Raiders team. And at that point, really the offense is what, after that game, I was like, dude, this offense, I mean, it was rough. And I know the Texans ended up winning that game. I do think, if a couple calls don't go our way, the Texans end up losing that game easily. I was just like, dude, I was getting so frustrated, and I've never felt worse after a win than I did after that Raiders win, at least to my memory. Like, that win was, like, so brutal. That, and then probably the next one up would probably be the Tampa Bay Bucks game in week 2, because Henry Toto, it was 4th and 10. And you have Baker Mayfield right there for your sack. Like, you have him, and he just slips out, gets the first down. The Bucks end up driving and score a touchdown to win the game. That game was absolutely heart-wrenching for me. Prime time, week 2. You had the heartbreak in week 1. I think those two, the Raiders game and the Bucks game, coincidence, maybe not, both Pirates. So the two Pirate games in 2025, they really sent me through the ringer. They really did. All right, that's all I have for you on today's show, folks. If you made it to the end of today's show, make sure to hit that subscribe button for free Texans content all year long.